Ayahuasca, what is going on? From the throne, my god, you know, if I had $1 for every time that you texted into the stream here on the toilet, well, I'd have at least $2. It's not exactly weak stomach. Is that a nervous thing, or is it just weak stomach in general? Anyway, welcome one and all to the second round of this Division 1 Season 17 from the Midwest F1 League. Tonight we are at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. Here's an interesting fact for you that I read today. If you took the world's largest skyscraper, the Burj Khalifa, and stacked it on top of each other twice, that's how high above sea level this Mexico City circuit is. Does that mean anything for this? No. However, it happens when I eat and drink. Fair enough. However, what we have for you tonight should be a fun one here in Division 1 because there is no racing line active for this one. I'm just going to ping this stream in another Discord real quick. Hopefully I'm allowed to do that. If not, I'll get yelled at. Anyway, here we are then, Mexico City. Yeah, no racing line allowed for this one here tonight. This should be a very interesting one, and as we have a second here, let's go over the results and standings from last time out. Ayahuasca, your championship leader after taking the win last time out in COTA. It was his teammate himself and Yore who had a very, very good race. Unfortunately, it appears that Yore is not on the grid tonight. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but the Aston Martin is not checked in, and that's unfortunate for him because I was quite looking forward to seeing him. Put on a potential additional Masterclass. Masterclass is a bit of a tough thing to say as well because he didn't win the race, but it did feel as a lot of it he was definitely in the driver's seat for. So it's an interesting thing to be able to say. But it looks like our first car out on the track is going to be the Haas of... It's going to be Chuck Blazin. Oh, but yeah, as we said, no racing line active for this one. We'll take you through your driver standings really quick. It is that of the Aston Martin of Ayahuasca, currently potentially still present on the toilet in first place at 61 points. His teammate of Yore in second at 55. Can Tizzle third, race day fourth, reigning defending champion in fourth place. Cali Rob fifth, Shankadelic sixth, seventh belongs to Gottney Weeb in the Williams. Eighth is Cake Thomas in the Visa Cash App Racing Bull F1 team car. Ninth is that of Electric Blade, and rounding up the top 10 is that of Houdini. I think it's got to be said, the Very fun one last time out in Coda. It definitely seemed as if it was tame for quite a lot of it. It had some great battles, but again tonight, no racing line active for this track. And as you know, this Mexico City circuit is definitely one of those that you can't, you got to really know this track to be able to get good at it, as you do with any of them. But even still, this is one of, I would say, even the more difficult tracks on circuit, especially this second sector right here. This car does tend to slip and slide and push and pull back and forth across the circuit as much as it possibly can. And I would definitely expect time penalties to be brought into play tonight. And as well, of course, having it be no line, that means no any sort of indication on braking. These drivers are going to have to pick a point and try to stick to it as much as they can. And that does get tricky, especially as your tires get worn down. And as well, with this division being no assist at all, it's not like you got ABS to save you on that one. You got to really send it tonight, and you got to really know your role. And we'll see if Chuck Blazin can get going on that. Down the pit straight and across the line, and here we go for Chuck Blazin, making his way down in towards turn number 1 here, as Ladd McConkey scores a touchdown for the San Diego Chargers, and I don't have him on my team, unfortunately. Into the first corner. This one ought to be tricky when we get into the race. You see Chuck Blazin already having to be a bit tentative into the braking zone and towards turn 1. It was a bit of a difficult entry. That looked a little bit slow. And of course, these, this is another kind of dynamic that we see in these runs here, especially with the no-line races. These first couple of laps will be pure reconnaissance for the drivers, assuming that, they haven't had the opportunity to put the work in time trial. You may get a guy like Chuck Blazin who, this isn't going to be a timed lap for him, especially now that he's invalidated. But, may just go out there and maybe just put a 2 or 3, 3 or 4 laps of fuel in the car. Just be able to ride around, not necessarily worry about putting a crazy time on the board, but just get yourself used to the circuit and all the twists and turns that comes with it. And as you can tell, invalidated, but does appear to still be going for it here, and we'll have to wait and see if he's going to be able to put down a proper timer here. We got the Mercedes of Cali Rob on the outlap. He's starting his timer now. Just looking to see who we have behind. That is going to be, I believe, the Alpine of Gunner. It is not the Alpine of Gunner. It's the Alpine of Juve, making his way around the final corner and across the line for Juve. It's a 1:16.903. It'll be interesting to see how that lap holds up there. Houdini's gone 1:17.5, so I'm assuming Juve is on the good end of a first-time lap here. Let's see what Gottlieb Weeb has to offer as he makes his way out of the final corner across the line for him. 1:17.9. And then, there you go, Shankadelic, 1:15.644. That seems slightly more representative and slightly more what we'll expect here. Shankadelic top of the table for now. Of course, we do have one of the McLarens behind him. That's going to be Fire Up Flow, who has gone second at about a devil's number behind. One of the Saubers coming around the line now. That appears to be Electric Blade, although he has invalidated. It looks like this will be an additional time lap for him here, assuming he's put another lap of fuel in the car. Across the line and down the pit straight for him. And, wow, he doesn't have quite a lot of battery, only 40% on the way into this lap here. 343 kilometer an hour into the braking zone at turn 1. A bit of a lock up there on the front brake. Through 2, through 3. Keeps it nice and tidy on the way out there. DRS activated. Just a little touch of battery being used. And now into the braking zone at turn 4. Purple sector 1 for him naturally. Fun little complex of corners here into the double right-hander of turn 6. And it looks like Proto has retired from the session. That's right, he had a qualifying ban this week for pressing the X button too early. As you know, if you've ever played the F1 game and you're in a multiplayer lobby, the lobby does not start until somebody presses the X button. Usually the host, that's his job. Give it 2 minutes to adjust the setups and strategy as much as you can, and Proto went too early last time out, and that's why he's got his quali ban today. Electric Blade into the stadium section, which oddly enough is a different stadium section than what the other racing series that come here use. If you've ever seen the NASCAR layout or the Formula E layout, I actually quite like that a little bit better. I think the F1 layout here is slightly daft, as the Formula E and NASCAR layout is more of a, it's almost like a triple left-hander, like a bit, you take it much wider anyway. Than you can there. It's a different, totally different shaped corner, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of how this F1 one is. I think it's neat how you drive through a stadium. I think it's kind of pointless, especially towards the end of the lap. We get a couple of cars round to the final corner now. That, I believe, is going to be Drismic beginning one. We've got the Visa Cash App Racing Bull of Shariah making his way out of the final corner. And across the line for Mr. Coleslaw, and it's a 1:16.877, only 2 100ths better than that of Element in that McLaren for the 4th spot. And speaking of Element, he's into the pit lane. Who's next? It's going to be that of Ayahuasca. As, oh, sorry about that. We had a car. Is that a car sideways there that I just missed? I don't know. Ayahuasca, purple sector 2 for him. Yet to put a time on the board. Let's see. Oh, and he's gone wide. That at turn 12. Somehow he's not invalidated. Bit lucky there. 13 and 14. 15, 16, and eventually 17 to round off the lap. And, oh, had a little bit of difficulty putting the power down there, but a 1:15.533. Ayahuasca to the top. What a lap there from Ayahuasca. Race day 2016, your reigning champion. Currently third, half a second behind. And, of course, this is how it looked last time out as well. You know, it was definitely quite the gap to the two Aston Martins atop the grid last time out at COTA. And race day, again, didn't have the best qualifying session, but, you know, I think as well, considering that Jorge isn't in this race, it may be slightly more possible that he gets himself a podium here. And again, race day, one of the most talented drivers that we've seen. I'm sure he'll be able to do that with no issue there. Cali Robb making his way through the final stages of the lap. Unfortunately, he's invalidated. This looks like it will be another flyer for him here as we turn on the telemetry. And yes, it is. Now, we saw 343 was the highest top speed so far. That's 345 into the braking zone for Cali Robb. It's an interesting circuit, this, because, again, the majority of the overtaking opportunities are with DRS, naturally, so you'll see some of these guys put on a lower downforce setup, and then you get through Sector 2, and it'll kick you around and spit you out if you're not careful. And I think that's what we could potentially see. As Cali Robb, this car looks to be more potentially set up for the straight line speed. We'll wait and see. Through the double apex right-hander at turn 6, nice and easy on the way out. Using the energy as much as he can again. Yeah, I don't think he's got as much downforce on the car. Just, you know, through that little left-hander right there at turn 7, just how much that car pushed. And I believe as he backed off here, actually. Yeah, it looks like he has. Yep. Got a Williams coming around the back end of the lap now. That's gotten a weave. He is a second and a half faster. And I believe that's just through Sector 2. Into the stadium section now for the Willie in particular. And he's got relatively clear track ahead of him. 8 minutes 50 remaining in the session here. Around to the final corner. And across the line for Gottney Weeb. And it's only 5th, but a good-looking lap nonetheless. 1:16.517. Gets himself within a second of the current provisional pole time set by that of Ayahuasca. Sauber coming around the line now. That appears to be Cam Tizzle, one of your, I believe, top 5 drivers in the driver's standings? Yep, actually top 3. 3rd place coming into today. Well, he has invalidated his previous attempt. But maybe this will be the one to look out for here. For that of Cam Tizzle. DRS activated, energy being used, at least temporarily there. Down the pit straight into the braking zone. Shankadelic 115, 392. Big there for Cam Tizzle, only about 341 kilometer an hour, 4 kmph slower than that of, who were we just on board with there? Was it Cali Robb? Yeah. Down that pit straight, so a little bit slower for Cam Tizzle, more downforce potentially for him. We talked about this at COTA a little bit as well. It is purely a driver's track as far as setup is concerned. It really, you have some freedom as with what you want to do with that car and how it handles it. I think that's what Cam Tizzle's kind of going for here. Ayahuasca on an additional lap, on his out lap here. Shankadelic is 1:15.3. Has got Ayahuasca's time by about 1/10.5 as race day 2016 making his way back out on track as well. As we are getting past the halfway point of our qualifying session here. Cam Tizzle, 3rd in the championship into today's 2nd round, making his way through the final paces of the lap now. 7 minutes 15 remaining. Good looking lap here from Cam Tizzle, and across the line, oh, he's going to be a little bit behind, 1:16.204. Not bad. Gets himself within a second of the top time. Currently 5th position for the Sauber, not bad at all. Potentially room for improvement as well, you got to expect. But the man of the hour, leading the championship, up until just recently, leading this qualifying session. Let's go along board with Ayahuasca for this lap. Down the pit straight and across the line he goes. Energy being used up until... Still being used here. Still being used. I tell you what, we didn't see that many drivers use this much energy store going into the first corner. Only maxed out at about 342 kilometer an hour, so a little bit slightly off the pace of the straight line. A bit of a wiggle there, getting on throttle at a 3. DRS activated, heading in towards turn 4. Purple Sector 1 over a 10th quicker. Again, nice and tidy. This is such a good-looking lap here. 6 minutes flat remaining. Tell you what, this is where it's make or break here through this second sector. Let's see. Nearly flat. Pretty much almost throughout the entire thing. DRS activated and across the line for him. 2.5 tenths quicker through Sector 2. In through 12. He had gone off there before. Keeps it within the lines. 13, 14, and 15. Through the stadium. A little bit slow through the second phase there. Turn 16, on throttle. To the inside through turn 17 and across the line. 1:15 flat. Beats his previous best by half a second. And now has 3.5 tenths to Shankadelic in that second position. That is an insane time. Excuse me for just a moment here. What a lap, though, from Ayahuasca. Race day 2016 across the line gets himself within half a second of that top spot set by Ayahuasca. Not a bad lap from him. What was the official time on that one? That was a 1:15.583. So only the third driver to break into the 1:15 so far, but I'm sure that that will be within elite company here shortly. I believe that's the Alpine of Juve around the final corner now. Only 9th for him, 1:16.508. 9 1,000ths quicker than that of Gottlieb Weeb for the 9th position. I was going to say, was he slightly in the way there? Thankfully, Gottlieb Weeb is on an outlap, so that didn't hinder him too much. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's when we go live here for the Midwest F1 League. Safe to say, probably my, I don't want to say home league, because that sounds a bit weird as a commentator, but that's absolutely the case. Down to the last 4 minutes of the session, couple of drivers remaining in the pit lane, that being Ayahuasca, Shank, Fireflow, and Cam Tizzle, 4 out of the top 5. 6 out of the top 10 as well. And never mind, even more than that, as Race Day into the pit lane, Shirai into the pit lane. Not a lot of traffic here. Electric Blade through the final paces of the lap now. This will be into the pit lane for him as well. 3 minutes 20 remaining in the session, and you'd have to believe that we are going to get quite the queue here once they get back out to it. That was an unsafe release. Of course, he's not in control of that. That's purely the game. Gottlieb Weeb beginning what I could potentially believe his final timed lap of the session here. 3 minutes to go. Down the pit straight in towards turn 1. 340 was the fastest that we saw. Deep in through turn 1. Shallow through 2. That looked good. Oh, that car's really unsettled there. Surprised he's not done in the lap on track limits, because he had gone wide there through 3. This is not looking like the best lap here from Gottlieb Weeb, and yeah, a second slower, so he'll back off. He'll at least have the opportunity to put maybe one more run in here. 2 minutes 30 remaining. We got the Haas coming around next of Houdini. Sorry, of Chuck Blazin will begin the next time lap. So looking to see, do we have anybody else on a flyer? Gunner looks like he potentially could be. Coming up to the timing line here shortly for Gunner. Cross the line for him. Yeah, about 2.5 tenths quicker through Sector 2. Not bad. That'll jump him a couple of spots here. As we now have Shankadelic, Race Day, and Fire Up Flow, and Edwin, and Callie Robb taking to the circuit now, with just under 2 minutes to go here in the qualifying session. Gunner around the final corner and across the line for him. He'll only jump to 11th. He improved by almost half a second and only made one position. Wow. That's a bit of a shame there for Gunner, as Electric Blade has called it quits in this session. Coming around the line next we have, I believe that's the McLaren of Fire Up Flow. Yes, it is. Fire Up Flow is going to be probably the first of our final time attempts here. Mind you, Shankadelic is on a flyer. This could be a problem for Shankadelic. I don't know how he's navigated this traffic as he has, but I would assume potentially somewhere in there that car has been held up, because that was a lot of cars in one place, and he is actually still faster through Sector 1. We'll check with him in a minute. Fire Up Flow coming through turns 1, 2, and 3 now. Very tidily done through that section. Tidily is not a word, I promise. 1 minute to go in the session. Race day, Shank. All on-time laps here, as well as Fire Up Flow. Mind you, from that 4th position on back to, what is that? P11 is only 0.5 of a second. It's a very close midfield here. And dare I say midfield. 4th place is not typically midfield. But it could be anyone at any given point making up the spots here. Oh, as Fire Up Flow invalidates his final timed attempt towards the back end of Sector 2, and that will most likely do it for his session, as Shankadelic 1:14.991. Insanity for Shankadelic, far and away one of the faster times that we've seen, but Ayahuasca will have one more go-round to be able to top it. Coming around the line next, we look to have the Sauber of Cam Tizzle. It looks like he'll be able to make it with time. Yes, he will. The McLaren of Fire Up Flow into the pit lane. Time will expire now. Race day 2016. Through the final paces of the lap, what does he have in store? The reigning defending champion for the 2nd week in a row will be on the back end of a qualifying attempt to the line, and he has improved by 0.3 of a second, stays in 3rd. Tough break for race day, gets within a 1/4 second of the top spot. But the question is now, can Ayahuasca top that timed attempt set by Shankadelic? He's got 1 attempt to do so. And Shankadelic, is he on another flyer here? I do not believe that he is. No, he will not be. That was Edwin to the line. It's currently a 2nd row lockout for the Ferrari. Shariah, however, will nudge his way in there. Next up, Cali Robb. Cali Robb will only get to 11th. We've got next Ayahuasca. Purple Sector 2 improves by 0.8 of a second. It's going to come down to the wire here. Final couple of corners for Ayahuasca. Maybe a little bit wide there through 16. Cuts back to the inside through 17 and across the line. And he's got him. 1:14.933 improves by 1/10 of a second and gets Shankadelic by 6/100ths. Ayahuasca back-to-back weeks on pole, unless does Cam Tizzle have anything in store. No, he does not. This is your qualifying order. Phenomenally close racing here, as Ayahuasca with a 933 gets the pole position. Shankadelic 2nd. Race day in 3rd. Top 3 within a blink of an eye here. Shariah in 4th, 7/10 behind. GSR Edwin 5th. Good result for the Ferraris. P6 for Fire Up Flow. 7th for Cam Tizzle. 8th for Element. 9th for Juve. What a competitive grid this is turning out to be. And again, no racing line here today for the Division 1 grid. This one could get crazy into that 1st corner. And here's the rest of the grid for you. Juve in 9th, as we said. Gottney Weeb 10th. 11th for Cali Robb. 12th for Gunner. 13th for Electric Blade. 14th Houdini. 15th Drismic. 16th for Chuck Blazin. And rounding out the grid with the qualifying band that he did have was Proto. But again, very competitive top 5 here. The rest of the grid might be in a different league. However, I suspect we're going to have some phenomenal racing here. And, well, I tell you what, if I had to bet, there's going to be carnage into that 1st corner. And once again, while we got a second here, I'd like to thank you for joining us. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday nights for the Midwest F1 League 17th season. God almighty, we've done this for 17 seasons already? Jesus. But we are here in Mexico for what should be a fantastic round. And again, as I've said, no racing line active. You know, I think that the grid has been very mixed feelings on the no racing line. I personally think it is one of the easier assists to learn how to take off, honestly. I really do appreciate the racing with no line, and the races that we have had with no line that I've commentated on have been some of the best in recent memory. So, about 50% of this season's schedule does not feature racing line. In years past, it's been about, 5 races a season, about a third of it. Now we got a full half of the season with no racing line. And speaking of season, let's take you through the remainder, or at least the next couple of the next couple of rounds here. Coming up next, on October 30th, we head to the Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne, Australia for round 3, also with no racing line active. November 6th, we head to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Sao Paulo, Brazil. We head to Silverstone on November 13th. No racing line, but we're doing it in the correct direction as well. The reverse direction didn't quite live up to expectations. And for the final race of the upcoming 5 rounds, we head to Las Vegas on November 20th. And, of course, then the off week, November 27th for American Thanksgiving. Other races this season to not feature racing line include Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Belgium, Austria, and Singapore. Not in that order. Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, Monaco, Canada, Belgium, Austria, Imola, Singapore, and Japan is what the remainder of the schedule looks like. It's going to be a fantastic season here. The last time that Division 1 raced in Mexico was the final round of Season 15. That one was taken by Race Day 2016. That was back on May 29th in the shortened season. Was that shortened? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, in the shortened season before, we headed to F1 25. Interesting stat for Race Day. Has not won a round. Has not won a race since, what was that round? Since round 12 of last season. Ayahuasca, your pole sitter here. Look at the tire strategy really quick. Once again, Division 1 not too daring with the tire strategies. Only 2 drivers hard for this evening. That being Race Day in 3rd and Proto down there in 17th. Race Day, one of those drivers that time and time again we do see take the off strategy. But again, when you've got the pace that Race Day has, you can afford to, make a strategy call that, is not as popular. What a result, though, for Shirai Coleslaw, P4. And a little bit since he's had that good of a qualifying result. Good result there for Edwin in 5th. Again, the Ferrari team with a great qualifying effort here. As well as the McLaren, 6th and 8th. Not bad at all. But the question is gotta be, Ayahuasca, he started on pole last week, and of course, didn't win he did win the race, but was taken into turn 1 by his teammate, and the question is who's going to win this drag race down the pit straight? Is it going to be Shankadelic of the Red Bull to the inside of Ayahuasca, or will it be the pole sitter himself? Could it potentially be? Well, I tell you who, I don't think it's going to be at all. It's going to be Race Day. I think he's going to drop like a rock here, starting on those hard tires. Ayahuasca on the left side, Shankadelic on the inside, heading towards turn 1. Race Day in behind, Shiraya on the inside of row 2. No guts, no glory is going to be the story here from south of the border as Proto makes his way to the line. A little bit far behind here as the tires ahead of him continue to cool down, with the Williams making his way to the grid. No guts, no glory. The story from south of the border. Ayahuasca on the outside, Shankadelic on the inside, Race Day and Shiraya on row 2. 5 lights on, and Vamonos, friends, we are underway, and Shankadelic has gotten a great start there, down to the inside. This one is going to be close as they make their way towards turn 1, wheel to wheel, and Shankadelic has cleared Ayahuasca into the first corner. Trying the outside now is Ayahuasca and the Aston as they make their way back. Oh, I'm going the wrong way with the camera switcher. They look to have gotten away at least relatively okay here. Race Day and Shiraya still side by side. I tell you what, Shiraya may have thought that Race Day shoved him off track there. Race Day is now going to drop an additional position as his teammate of Edwin gets his way up the inside, up to 3rd for Edwin. Shankadelic takes the top spot. Race Day back up to 4th now, still battling behind with the Racing Bull there of Shiraya, as it looks as if we got a couple of shenanigans in the back. Chuck Blazen's dropped a few spots. Electric Blade now as well. And as they make their way through the first sector of the track, and potentially sector 2 here as well, this one has kicked off relatively quickly. It looks like everybody's made it through okay. Biggest loser so far has got to be that of Juve, down 3. Ayahuasca again being taken off the line. Edwin +2, Gottney Weeb +3 as they make their way in towards the stadium section. That being turns 12, 13, 14, and 15 as the two Ferraris linking up here, and it's Ayahuasca still again trailing, making their way behind. Gottney Weeb, as we said, +3. It's been a fantastic start from him, but now as DRS is enabled, well, they're not going to get it until next time by, as just the one detection point for the first two as the Ferraris will invert position, but who will take the position here, the top spot? Will it be Ayahuasca? No, he's not going to be close enough to make that one happen. And behind as well, this is quite interesting here. Race Day is, I don't want to say blocking up the grid, but he's down by 3 seconds as Shariah and Edwin, side-by-side, wheel-to-wheel contact made there through turn 3. It's a 3-second gap between the top two and the rest of the grid as Shariah, here's Fire Up Flow and Edwin side-by-side. Goodness me, it's all happening here. Oh, and that was the Ferrari had gone clean through the back end of the McLaren. There was definite contact there. Thankfully, the ghosting happened. I think he may have just plain outright misjudged his braking zone. Cam Tizzle and Gottney Weeb side by side. Element still to the inside of Cali Robb. He'll be up to 9th. And again, I wonder what's happening with Race Day to have dropped. We kind of figured he was going to be dropping a few positions here. Not that many, as Drismic now struggling to keep this car under control. Has he got wing damage? It's certainly the car is acting like it is, and no, not visible anyway. Into the stadium section they go. Shankadelic only leads as Ayahuasca has taken the Ballard in through there. That was at turn 13. Out of the final two corners now. Ayahuasca will have quite the load of DRS. And the fastest lap to boot as well. DRS activated to the inside. Looking that Aston Martin. That's the wrong driver. There it is. Ayahuasca to the inside. And of course, due to me being a dumbass, I've missed that move. That's okay. So Race Day with the fastest lap, but here it is again. Edwin is now losing spots to Cam Tizzle and Gottney Weeb, and potentially as well Cali Robb or the McLaren of Element. Tell you what, Edwin, I don't know what's going on with him here. He's not happy with that car. He's down 3, even since just, like a lap ago. That car is definitely kind of losing its way here. Now to the inside, Cali Robb. What a dive that was going to have to be able to make that one happen. Not quite. Oh, bit of a slide there for Edwin. That could open the door for the Mercedes indeed. And now to the inside. We have a yellow flag somewhere happening back there. I believe that's Juve in the Alpine. And I hate to say this, but those two Alpines were right close not too long ago. Did Juve make contact with his teammate, a Gunner, that sent him spinning? It certainly could have been, as Cali Robb's going to overtake Edwin and now potentially Element as well through the snaking Sector 2. DRS activated, and yeah, Edwin is not happy with that car. That thing is all over the place. Oh, and that was the Williams of Proto there, has gone deep. Oh, and he's come back out on the track in front of Electric Blade. Ayahuasca fastest lap. He's got now a 1.5 seconds ahead of Shankadelic as the real battles take place here towards the back end of the grid. We do have Fire Up Flow. This is on Shariah for the 4th position. Down to the inside and with ease. Up to 4th. And even so, just since going down the pit straight, Ayahuasca has put an additional 0.6 of a second back on Shankadelic. Here goes Fire Up Flow. Still having to defend with Shariah. These two have been battling for quite some time already. We do also have Gunner. Oh, there's something has happened here. 3 wide is, well, I tell you what, ghosting is happening. That's not really supposed to be. Tell you what, it is a whole jumbling mess back here in this battle for the 9th position as Gunner leads. Here they go, and even still, Edwin still dropping after having started and improved quite as well as he did in the first couple of phases of the race, is still not happy with that Ferrari, as we'll now have to defend from Electric Blade, Drismic, and Proto, and as well as the 2 Haas drivers of Chuck Blazin and Houdini, as Juve's actually gone off track, I believe, has entered the pit lane here. Has he? Yeah, Juve has made a fresh pit stop. Did he have wing damage? We didn't see any when we were on board with it. Oh, that's a McLaren in the wall. That's Element. And I tell you what, relatively thankful there for Element that he has not lost any more than just the front end plate on the car, because he had appeared to hit that wall quite a ton and kind of got out of it lucky. Cam Tizzle is our first victim of the 3-second track limits penalties here, as he's got it. I wonder where he's picked that up. I'm not entirely sure where on track he would have made that error to be able to pick up that penalty. Not sure. Shariah around the outside of Fire Up Flow in through turn 1. He'll have the better line through 2. Through 3 might come trickily. That's not a word either. Just welcome to a hotspot stream where we invent words and don't know what's happening. Shariah has taken the 4th spot. As now, oh, Edwin has gone off. Yes, he has. Edwin's gone deep through one. Either that or he's been hit from behind, but he's now 15th. He was 4th not too long ago. Ay, ay, ay. It's just, or sorry, as we're, ay caramba, as we say, because we're in Mexico. But, I mean, it's just not going well. As what I can say is this, Shankadelic, after having been overtaken again from Ayahuasca to retake the top spot, has dropped 3.5 seconds behind the Aston Martin, and now is actually under pressure here from Race Day. And Race Day, mind you, was about 3 seconds behind the top two after the second lap of the Grand Prix. Things are escalating rather quickly here from Mexico City as Element's going to get a 3-second penalty. We got an accident at the back. Drismic is off there through Sector 2. Oh, I'm not entirely sure where he would have picked that up. I think just the weight transfer through the car, steering back and forth like that, was enough to send it round. As speaking of sending it round, Race Day 2016 will send it round the Red Bull for the second spot. And again, being on those hard tires as well. We didn't get a strategy graphic. We didn't, not that the game gave us anyway. So kind of blind on tire strategy here, but we can assume it's, you know, middle of the race as one to the other. Element into the pit lane has got a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. And as well, he's missing quite a bit of the front wing on the left side. Teary-eyed in the cockpit, as you can see. That's slightly unsettling. Fire Up Flow and Shariah, these two have been battling since the off here. Meanwhile, Cam Tizzle trying to join the party. Of course, Cam Tizzle's got the 3-second penalty for multiple warnings not all that long ago. Meanwhile, Shariah has fallen off the back end of the top three. 3.5 seconds here. Shankadelic immediately. Oh, we have a yellow flag. Someone's gone off. That, I believe, is Cali Robb. That Mercedes has gone awry somewhere following turn 7. It seems he's got it back up to speed here. But that was slightly sketchy. As I was saying, these two guys have been battling since the off, escalating quickly here in Mexico as Shankadelic into the pit lane. It's only lap 7. Is this a front wing change coming up here? It looks to be an unscheduled stop. And no. Well, those hard tires going on here relatively early. For that is Shankadelic as GSR Edwin, just to add to the headaches that he's been having, now gets a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. Oh, Cam Tizzle into the back end of Shariah, going through the first couple of corners here. As I think Shariah may have been stacked up there behind Fire Up Flow. Cam Tizzle couldn't react, and that's going to be the end of the day for Edwin. Such a shame to see him have the fall from grace as he did, as he started so well and ends up in the pit lane, retired from the session. As Fire Flows at, well, never mind. I was going to say I'd gone deep into the corner. As it turns out, Lag had done that, not me. Here's a look at the way things have started and changed. Ayahuasca has retaken the top spot. Race Day +1, Fire Flow +3, Shariah back to 4th. Biggest mover in the positive direction does belong to Proto. He's +8. And, of course, Shankadelic. Although Shankadelic has just stopped, so he's -11. Juventino is down to 6th. And Element, down 6. And then Element down 8. Of course, Element has just stopped recently as well as the Alpine as Juve. That was a very early stop there from Shankadelic. Is he hoping for a safety car at some point to put on another set of mediums? Or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what potential that will yield, that strategy, but either way, good to see a little bit of creativity. Big lockups there for both Cam Tizzle and Fire Up Flow. Cam Tizzle had to really wiggle to avoid the back end of the Racing Bull ahead of him. Stays out of trouble only just. Houdini now trying to send to the inside of Electric Blade, not quite. So a good look at, oh, and a big wiggle there from Electric Blade, and that was purely getting on throttle. Houdini will take 10th, and potentially a stroke of luck there, honestly, has to be said. An error from Electric Blade, and now Chuck Blazin. I thought he was going to have a look into the corner. Didn't quite. Of course, you could tell maybe struggling a little bit on the brakes there. Shankadelic right up against the back end of the Haas here. Of course, this is hurting Shankadelic, having had to stop and now out of the pit lane, has traffic in the way. Have to check back in on Shankadelic in a little bit. Fire Up Flow still leads. Shariah Coleslaw for the 3rd position. Cam Tizzle, of course, in the battle as well. As, oh, that's going to be Shariah Coleslaw into the pit lane here. Well, again, what seems to be a relatively early stop. Off the medium tires. Are we potentially looking at a two-stopper here? I think it's going to have to be at this rate. There's no way these hard tires last the 30 laps it'll take. So, yeah, I'm assuming 1 or 2 stops, definitely. I'm leaning more towards 2 stops, honestly. That's kind of what it seems like. Check back to the back end of the grid. We got a good-looking battle here. Chuck Blazing kind of packaged in behind both Shankadelic and Electric Blade, as Shankadelic appears to have gone up the inside of Chuck Blazing in towards turn 1 as they cycled their way through 2 and 3. Shankadelic still to the back end of Electric Blade. Here he goes, trying the outside. This will be in towards turn 4. Kind of an unorthodox way to make this one happen, but he's done so. Even with the aid of DRS out of turn 3, you don't often see moves like that into 4. But yeah, Shankadelic's done it, and he's done it nicely. As the grid's starting to get a little bit spread out here. Ayahuasca, 2.5 seconds ahead of race day. And I tell you what, I think these medium tires are actually falling off much quicker than we expected because, I mean, we could see now race day is already within 2.5 seconds of Ayahuasca. I mean, it's getting to be one of those things you got to think. Shankadelic 0.3 of a second here to the back end of Houdini. This going through turn 16. And Houdini will pull it off to the inside, entering the pit lane for him. Cali Rob has also done the same. I'm assuming medium tires, hard tires for everybody involved. That certainly appears to be the case. Houdini in, Cali Rob, what's he done? That will be hards for him as well. Chuck Blazing 0.5 second behind that of Electric Blade in towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough quite yet. As I spoke about race day 2016 improving, it certainly appears that he's kind of stayed stagnant for the time being. He's only shaved off about 1/10 of a second in the previous lap, was kind of within that 2.5 second range, and now finds himself still only about 2.45 as Chuck Blazing goes deep into the braking zone at turn 4 and kind of squanders an opportunity at a potential overtake on Electric Blade. As the grid starts to spread out here, now here's an interesting situation. Gunnar and Juve, I believe, had some sort of contact or spat earlier on in the race. Maybe not the first lap of the Grand Prix. Maybe lap 2 or 3. These two Alpines, I believe, came together. That is what resulted in the early wing change of Juve. I don't know. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong. I'll be the first to admit I like being wrong. I learn more. But what I will tell you is this. Something didn't quite add up there. Chuck Blazing into the pit lane, as it'll be hard tires for him naturally. Two Alpines again right within close contact of each other. Houdini watches on. That was Juve who had gone deep into the braking zone there. Actually, rather coming off of turn 13 and cut 14. Didn't pick up a penalty, got himself back on track. And, oh, that was a big slip there for Juve. Nearly takes the entry to the pit lane on the right front tire. Yeah, that car was definitely not well placed. Oh, that was weird. Oh, way deep into the braking zone there for Gunnar. Houdini's going to have a fair opportunity here, exiting turn 3 with DRS. Exiting turn 3 they go. 0.5 of a second and closing. Of course, DRS also had for Gunnar. Oh, that's right, because the car had... That's right, because Juve was ahead of him. And Juve had spun out of position and given him the DRS there, exiting turn 17. And, meanwhile, and I've unfortunately said this before, well, fire up Flo into the pit lane. I said this before, you know how I was kind of mouthing off there about race day not really improving? Yeah, he's now made up about 0.6 of a second since I finished mouthing off about him. Yeah, that's what I get for questioning the racing prowess of the 5-time champion. Fire up Flo into the pit lane. Was this hard tires for him? Surely. Yeah. Shankadelic has actually overtaken his way around Proto there to turn 1. That looked to be a pretty good move. Proto on the 11-lap-old hard tires. He'll have to stop here relatively soon, and I would kind of expect, as Godney Weeb is... I'd say Proto is going to be dropping at least 2 or 3, but probably more along the lines of 4 or 5 positions here. Once he does decide to stop. And I'm wondering when race day decides to stop as well. That's got to be the next question. because that will tell us how long these hard tires last. As we've got Houdini and Gunner battling it out through turns 1 and 2. Yes, Houdini is taking that spot. He's taking it well. Will DRS be activated here for the Haas? Yes, it will. Houdini to the 10th position and pulling away from the Alpine now. Oh, but now look at this race day. Oh, and that's exactly why he's gaining that much time on Ayahuasca, because Ayahuasca into the pit lane. Hard tires will be the answer here for Ayahuasca in particular. Which I didn't, you know, it was about 5 races like commentated of ayahuasca before I realized that ayahuasca is like a form of weed or something like that. I didn't quite know what that was about, but anyway, yeah, I did not know that. Race day 2016. Now this is the $1 million question. What we were just talking about. When he pits, that is going to be that's going to be our tell as to how long these hard tires will last. I would assume that we're going to be looking at probably 15 laps or so. Nah, well, a lot of the grid pit around lap 9 or 10. So, if the mediums degraded that quickly, yeah, I would think probably between laps 15 and 17 for the hards. And of course, as we can see, race day is still pulling away from Cam Tizzle in second. Of course, Cam Tizzle being on the medium tires in which he started the race on. He's going to have about a 20-second gap here and still has yet to decide to pit. Here's now Ayahuasca. Now, this is definitely hurting Ayahuasca here, being parked in behind Cam Tizzle on the 12-lap-old mediums. He's going to have to really kind of force his way around here. I tell you what, every moment that he's not overtaking Cam Tizzle is a moment race day's pulling out ahead. This is huge here for Ayahuasca. He's got to make this happen. And, well, he does at the mercy of the pit lane, but, I mean, that has put him now 20 seconds behind that of race day. Of course, he's going to start improving here with DRS and, of course, the fresh tires, but, I mean, still. Talk about a disadvantage for Ayahuasca to be parked in behind the Sauber as long as he was. We'll check back in with those fellas in a little bit. Right now we have Gunner behind Houdini. This is for the 10th position. These two have battled quite a bit here in the recent goings. Just a reminder, only 2 drivers left on tap to have yet to stop here, that being the leader of race day, who started on the hards, as well as Proto, who I believe, as well started on the hards. Here goes Gunner. And the inside of Houdini in towards turn 1. I tell you what, that was not a convincing brake job there from Gunner. He's not going to get that spot. I think Houdini may have just purely outbraked him there, as Gunner's going to have DRS again here heading in towards turn 4. This is where he'll take it, surely. Around the outside, and yep, Gunner will be having... Oh, no, Gunner's gone way deep into the braking zone there. Comes back out on track, and now is going to be quite a little bit of ways behind Houdini after... Tell you what, did he really need to send it in that hard into turn 4? I didn't think he did. He's gone for it. And instead of hitting it out of the park like you would George Springer, he's hit it into the dirt 2 feet in front of the plate. Unfortunate there for Gunner, as not, well, I tell you what, he's gaining his time back. Yeah, he's not too far out of the way. But this is interesting now, because since Ayahuasca has overtaken Cam Tizzle back for that second position, he's now gained about 2.5 seconds to the Ferrari ahead of race day 2016. I would expect that Ferrari's going to come in here relatively soon. 15 to 17 was my guess on those hard tires. It's race day making his way through sector 3 now, and of course he's got the back marker ahead of him of Juve. If he gets relatively close to him, he'll get DRS to be able to get around that Alpine. So, yeah, potential. Let's see, does race day into the pit lane? Yes, race day. So, 15, 16 laps there on hard tires. That is the magic number for everybody involved, as Element's going to get a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. That'll be the 16th penalty, 16th second penalty of the day that he's incurred. Of course, he had the tenor in which he served in his earlier stop, I believe. As that means Ayahuasca will be taking the top spot now after beating Race Day 2016 into the pit lane. Race Day now, however, on the mediums. He's actually going to be in quite the dogfight here with Shankadelic. Shankadelic round the outside. This one could get hairy. The Red Bull parks it in behind, and, well, I tell you what, bit lucky for Race Day to have got that one covered, and he's not going to have DRS. This is going to be a hell of a time here as Shariah is going to get to the inside of Proto in towards turn 1. And Raystay's actually gotten away quite a bit better out of turn 3. He's prevented Shankadelic from any sort of opportunity to be able to make that move. Shankadelic's actually not had DRS there. That's why he's not been able to make it. Yeah, because Shankadelic didn't have DRS to Ayahuasca. Because Ayahuasca was at the time the car ahead, and Raystay exited the pit lane, and Shankadelic didn't have it to Raystay because he wasn't within a second of him at the time the detection point came up. Maybe a slight bail out there for Raystay, considering how close Shankadelic was, but hey, he'll take it. Check back with those fellas in a minute. Again, Houdini within a couple of tenths here of Gunner. This has been a phenomenal battle for this 10th position. These guys are so even on pace that here through the double apex of turn 6, Houdini still 2.5 tenths of a second behind the Alpine of Gunner. And again, Houdini rounds out the top 10 in points coming into today's race as we are around about halfway through this session. Through the back end of Sector 2 they go. DRS activated here for the Haas of Houdini heading towards turn 12, and he's not quite going to be there. I would assume potentially with DRS next time by, as Houdini actually there had, it looked as if had gone all 4 tires over the white line on exit of 12, but of course we've seen that one happen. Through 16 and 17 now, and I don't think Houdini has got good acceleration at all coming out of that stadium section. He begins the pit straight almost a full second behind that of Gunner. And here he goes, DRS activated, heading down the pit straight and in towards turn number 1. And he's going to be about 0.3 of a second shy there, Houdini. Yeah, but he'll get it again. Exiting 3, heading in towards turn 4 with the DRS activated coming up here in a second. Let's see potentially. Now will he have anything? And I'm not entirely sure that he will. No, not quite yet. We'll check back with them in a little bit. Fire up Flow within a couple of tenths here of Proto. That battle got a little bit close not too long ago. As heading in towards turn 12, and I don't believe Proto has actually stopped yet. No, he hasn't. Race day 2016, 118, 182, new fastest lap, and is now 1.3 behind that of Ayahuasca. Again, we are assuming this is going to be a 2-stop race by the immediate looks of it. No guarantees. Fire up Flow with a 3-second penalty on Proto, who has yet to make his pit stop here. DRS activated for the McLaren. He'll choose the inside over the Williams. And it looks as if for the time being that move will be his. Yes. Good move there for Fire Up Flow. It's now a question on whether or not he can hold it or can Proto bounce back. Well, the McLaren will have DRS again here. Exiting 3, heading into 4. And yeah, that Papaya will sail into the orange-colored sky ahead of him. And now Houdini to the inside of Gunner in through 1, and I thought Houdini was going to have a bit of a lunge there, but I think Houdini far and away has been the biggest supporter of these no-line races, so I think, for him to have pulled off a dive to hurt a car ahead of him would be a bit rich, and I tell you what, he's chosen the safe route there because his eventually made it happen. Nicely done for Houdini. As Cam Tizzle will pick up his 9th second in time penalty. That at the moment will set him at least to the 9th position. Won't drop behind Houdini. He'll only drop behind Weed. But now, race day 2016 within almost half a second of Ayahuasca down the pit straight. And again, this is what we're talking about here. 6-lap-old hards for Ayahuasca, 3-lap-old mediums for race day. Of course, as we saw, those mediums only lasting about 10 laps or so. A hard medium for race day here? Would that be potentially the idea? Ayahuasca, those 6-lap-old hard tires, they only went about 15 laps, so 9 laps from now will be, 28? Yeah, Ayahuasca's going to have to stop again here. There's almost a guarantee, I'd say. Again, Proto, the only car on track having yet to stop it. I tell you what, the Williams is, for what it's worth, being able to hold on to those tires as long as he has is doing quite well, as Gunner has retaken Houdini in through turn 1. Again, goes a little bit deep into the braking zone as Houdini looks as if he could be able to strike back here. Switches back to the inside on the throttle. DRS activated for, I believe it's actually going to be the Alpine that time. Yes, it is. They're going to be wheel-to-wheel here. Heading in towards turn 4. Houdini on the outside. Oh, goodness me. He's going to have to switch him back again. Exiting 5. Yes, he does. The Alpine goes wide. And Houdini in towards 6th. What a brilliant battle this is. Back to 10th for the Haas in question. And we hope that one continues. But for now, it's down the pit straight for the top 2. This is the battle here. Race day had a small peek to the inside. Not enough to commit. But it'll have DRS again exiting turn 3. Here it is. DRS activated for the Ferrari in question. Ayahuasca looking to defend. Oh, Ayahuasca's going to block that right side. Race day to the inside. Damn it. Race day to the inside, and it's taken the spot. I'm so sorry. I've missed it again. But a great move from Race day to be able to make that one happen again. I'm not entirely sure. As Juve's got his first 3-second penalty of the day. I tell you what, despite not having racing line on, despite, these guys kind of being a little bit tentative at times, they have not picked up a lot of 3-second penalties. I was expecting a lot more. Gunner to the inside through turn 1, and he's taking it back again, but only for now, as Houdini to the inside, and Gunner's actually picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. I believe he's cut the inside of turn 1 there, or maybe through turn 2. Elements into the pit lane, as he was the yellow flag there briefly in Sector 3. Pit stop for him, as we now have, that's one of the Saubers. It's not Electric Blade, it's Cam Tizzle. Cam Tizzle in the 8th position. As spun coming out of turn 7, I believe. And that puts him in a very compromised position. And Gunner now with a 3-second penalty is going to put himself in a compromised position in the battle with Houdini for 10th. Shariah Coleslaw into the pit lane. And again, this is the next question. When do we see... Because you'd have to think now that the pit strategy between Ayahuasca and Race Day is going to be head-to-head, will it not? You kind of figure it has to be. Race Day went hard-medium, is going to probably put on another set of mediums here. Ayahuasca went medium-hard, we'd assume medium again. This is probably going to be an outright head-to-head stop here between Race Day and Ayahuasca. It's going to have to be. Let's see. So we saw about 10 lap stints, about 9 lap stints on the medium tires. 4 laps from now, we'll put Race Day at lap 9, lap 10. Ayahuasca, that'll put him on 12 or 13. Yeah, these are going to be head-to-head stops here. Between Ayahuasca and Race Days, we're getting close to the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix. What a chaotic but entertaining Grand Prix it's been. And I want to take the time now once again to thank you for inviting us into your homes here in the Midwest F1 League. We genuinely appreciate your support, and we hope to see you again next week. 8/10 of a second for Cali Robb on the back end of Proto as they make their way out of turn 17. And again, Proto is the only driver on track yet to stop. And by the way, 21 laps now on the hard tires? I think that's what Ayahuasca's got to be hoping for here, as Cali Robb to the inside, and he'll take that one relatively easily. But is that what Ayahuasca's trying to do? Can Ayahuasca really take those tires, into the 20s in the lap count? We haven't seen anybody, save for Proto, get even relatively close of making that happen. Oh, big lock up there for Shariah in towards turn 1. Goodness me. Lucky to have not caused a bigger accident there with Gottney Weeb. And from initial offerings, I think, from initial sights, I think he's got to give that one back to Gottney Weeb. That big of a dive to the inside there, and I think there was contact made. If there wasn't, it's a clean move. But if there was contact, I think Shariah's got to give that one back to the Williams. And the Williams as well, as that wing damage for him. Well, it is, but that wouldn't have been related, as Shariah took him to the inside of turn 1. That would have been on the right-hand side of the Williams. So yeah, that's unrelated there. Pit stop up here for Shankadelic, and he has chosen what appears to be an additional set of hard tires. Ayahuasca, really close to the back end of Race Day 2016 here. We've suddenly got ourselves another battle for the lead. Once again, Race Day has taken the top spot, but we'll have to fight again with those tires, the medium tires, I would assume, going off the cliff here relatively soon. But again, as we think, 10 lap tires for Ayahuasca. we'd have to assume that in about 4 laps' time, that car will have to make its way into the pit lane, and that would be a stretch for race day, unless does Ayahuasca have the facilities to be able to conserve and extend. He's got 20 seconds to the car in third, that being Fire Up Flow. Oh, I don't know. Initially, I thought that this battle was going to be head-to-head on tire strategy. Instead, I think Ayahuasca may still be able to take this. Because there's no guarantee that Ayahuasca needs to stop. There is a guarantee, however, that he's to the inside going for the first spot. Oh, okay, well, Race Day's done something there to be able to get back around. God almighty, how the hell did he do that? Ayahuasca appeared to have outbraked him, and then Race Day kind of in a different phase. Kind of let off the brakes, got back on it again, and retook the spot. But here's Ayahuasca around the outside. Wheel to wheel now through 4. Race Day will go deep. Ayahuasca stays in a little bit shallow. We'll try to switch him back to the inside. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. Oh, but Race Day didn't have a good entry there to 6. Pit stop for the Williams. And I believe as well, Callie Robb. Shariah Coleslaw now around the outside of Cam Tizzle. In towards turn 1, he's got that one to go. And you can start to see the graining on the right front of the Racing Bull that we're on board with. Can't quite see it, but it is there. Only just. But as I was saying, we have a yellow flag now. That's a McLaren, that's Element. And the woes continue here, unfortunately, for Element. His day has been anything other than to be described as good. Such a shame for him. And he's going to allow his teammate to get out of the way here. I have a feeling that he'll be in to retire this time in. But again, as I was about to mention, oh no, Cam Tizzle's retired. That's going in through Sector 2. That is a safety car. Wow, he's done that. He's done that bigly. Wow, that is such an unusual place to have gone off there, but that car hit a ton. And it is absolutely a safety car. Talk about a wrench being thrown into the plans of those involved. So now, every time I get cut off in the sentence about this being a head-to-head tire battle between Race Day and Ayahuasca, the safety car has actually came out and proved me right. So, I don't really know, but we're going to deal with it, aren't we? So, Shankadelic on the fresh... Oh, this is interesting as well. Shankadelic on the fresh, hard tires. Only 2 laps old, and by the time the race gets going again, those tires won't have much wear on them. Of course, he'll have to get back and around now, and he's going to go at pace. He's not going to take the top spot here, obviously, but he'll hold on to third, and I think that's going to be quite good position there for Shankadelic. Now, oh, this is where it gets interesting, because at the line this time is 10 laps to go. What do Race Day and Ayahuasca decide to do? We're going to assume... Obviously, we're going to assume that it's for the mediums here again. Race Day started on the hards, went to the medium tires out of stop. Conversely, Ayahuasca started on the mediums, went to the hards. It will be mediums for Race Day, and it will be mediums for Ayahuasca. Okay, this is to be expected. Fire Up Flow, fresh mediums for him. Shariah has chosen track position. He stayed out 4-lap-old hards. Callie Robb, having just stopped, has done the same. Proto, fresh mediums for him as well. Wow, what a turn of events this is turning out to be. Gonna have within 10 laps to go here. Such a shame there for Cam Tizzle. Again, I'm not entirely sure what happened to him. He had gone off in Sector 2 earlier in the Grand Prix, kind of later on, more closer to the DRS section. I believe it was more closer to just like having gone off track, maybe missed a braking zone, or maybe had a bit of a slide. It was not anything even hardly noticeable, realistically. The only reason I noticed it is because I saw the yellow on the mini-map, but it was not big enough to garner attention. That one absolutely was, because the attention's gone to him, and it's gone to the safety car that it's drawn here. Oh, Juve's going to be in the way. Oh, that might be problematic. Oh, well, this is... I don't know what to think here. Juve has picked up the safety car, and he is now in between the top two. Race Day ahead of him, Ayahuasca behind him, first and then second. I don't know. I don't know about this. And again as well, Juve can't give Ayahuasca that spot. Okay, he's going to go into the pit lane. Okay, I was about to say, can't give Ayahuasca that spot under safety car because Ayahuasca will be yelled at to give the track position back. Chuck Blazin has gone to the softs here. That's a bit bold. We have not seen softs be used today. If the medium tires are anything to go off of, those aren't going to last for anything more than 5 laps, honestly. But you never know. Still going to take a little bit here to get the cars re-racked. So here's your current tire strategies. I believe everybody has made the stops that they've chosen to. Race Day, your leader, medium tires. Ayahuasca, second place. Pole sitter, medium tires. Shankadelic has chosen the track position, had just previously stopped for the hard tires. He will sit third. And in a position as well, I don't think he's going to flounder. And I think when the going gets tough here, when the race gets going again, he might be okay. Because of the 4 laps of age that those tires are, only about 2 of them have been at race speed. So, yeah, I mean, he'll be at a disadvantage here immediately, but I think when we get towards the back end of the run, I think he might be okay. I think he might, I wouldn't be surprised if he held on to this 3rd spot here. Maybe unless some of those medium tire runners of Proto, Gunner, or Weeb can find a way to catch up here. Here's a look at the penalty tracker. 3-second penalties for Fire Up Flow, Gunner, Weeb, and Juve. Element on 9 seconds. By the way, has had 19 seconds of penalty today with a tenner that he picked up earlier on and had served. And incredibly enough, as I figured it was going to be him that retired from the session after the most recent calamity he had through Sector 2. In fact, it wasn't. It was actually Cam Tizzle in the accident that he's had. We started with 17. We're down to 15 after Edwin retired in the pit lane and Cam Tizzle unfortunately crashed out moments ago. Just waiting for the grid to get caught back up here. Just waiting on a couple of drivers. We've got the Williams of Proto. Drizmic with a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings under safety car conditions. Is the game telling him to catch up here? I think that's what he's doing. That's why he's going at pace. Because as I say, there's no reason that he should be going at pace enough to be picking up 3-second penalties here, but if the game's telling him to play catch-up, that would be why. Because the game will only give you a certain amount of time to be able to catch up to the grid here eventually. So we're waiting on Electric Blade and the Haas of Houdini to be able to get caught up here. I'm not entirely sure if the grid will wait for Drizmic and Chuck Blazin. I'm not sure. And this is rancid here for Chuck Blazin as well, considering he stopped to put on those soft tires and now has to go at pace under safety car condition to get caught up to the grid for the safety car restart. That was not the move to put on the soft tires there. Not really sure. Don't think it was. Let's wait and see if the safety car will be in this lap. Potentially it'll wait one more. We've got enough time. Nope. It's going to come in now. So, at the green flag here, will be lap 29. We have 8 laps to go in this Mexican Grand Prix. And what a race it's been so far. Overtakes, calamities, penalties, strategy. And it's all going to come down to this. Race Day, Ayahuasca. Mano y mano. Is that Spanish, or is that... I don't know. Anyway, here we are. Green flag in the air. Race Day leads us back to green, and he's got 4.5 of a second on Ayahuasca. Fire Up Flow will potentially be looking at Shankadelic here for the 3rd spot. Fire Up Flow as well with the 3-second penalty. The Williams are now exchanging pleasantries for the 8th position. They are wheel to wheel. It's the Great Wall of Willie here. Oh, God, that doesn't sound good at all, does it? Oh, look at this. Whoa, what is this? I thought that was going to be 3 wide up the inside. I really thought Proto was going to try to have it there on Gunner instead. Proto's going to drop the 10th after getting shuffled out and now behind Electric Blade. Oh, wow. Shankadelic of course, dropping a little bit here, considering on those hard tires, he's going to be under the immediate pressure of Fire Up Flow, who will be losing a couple of spots unless he can put the hammer down here and get a 3-second gap to Shariah and all those else behind at the end of the Grand Prix. That is the only way he'll be able to keep that 4th spot. But here's the scenario. Top 2, reigning champion, 5 times of which for race day, reigning race winner, and current top of the table in the championship standings, that of Ayahuasca. Battle of the Titans here. Dare I say, oftentimes the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. As there's been no secret that race day has been amongst the most talented drivers in Midwest F1. Ayahuasca, I think, absolutely belongs in that conversation as well. Fire Up Flow will get around Shankadelic, now 2 seconds ahead of Shariah. The question remains. Ayahuasca has been phenomenal over the single lap pace. Over race pace, it would absolutely be argued in the favor of race day. Half a second is the gap. Ayahuasca remains behind. 4.5 of a second. Shankadelic to the back end of Fire Up Flow. This being for the 3rd spot. And of course as well, the hard tires for that of Shankadelic. As the track remains under yellow flag according to my screen. I don't know if the drivers are seeing that as well, but I certainly am. A little bit further behind. They file here through Sector 2. We'll check back in with them in a little bit. Ayahuasca still trying to find the back end of Race Day 2016. 6 laps to go at the line this time by. Exiting turn 16 and 17. And this is where I think it could be Ayahuasca's game here. Because his Race Day's car is really, really good everywhere on this circuit. DRS is the name of the game. At least down this pit straight. And while he doesn't appear to get him here, will it be turn 4? Or will it be heading in towards turn 12? Will be the next opportunity for Ayahuasca. I fear that Ayahuasca is definitely slower in through Sector 2, and that's why he's not been able to take him in towards turn 1, because of how much time he's lost through the back end of Sector 2 and in towards Sector 3. Callie Robb to the back end of Shariah for the 5th position. Callie Robb won't be able to find it there. If he had better acceleration, maybe, but this is a good battle happening now for the 5th spot. And again, the battle for the lead, 4/10 of a second. DRS activated for the Aston Martin. Trims off about a 10th. Now into the stadium section. This is where I'm concerned about Ayahuasca and his ability here. Not that I question his ability, but I question the fact that why he's not been able to challenge Race Day into turn 1. As that was Gottney Weeb with his second 3-second penalty of the day. He's up to 6 of them. 5 laps to go here from Mexico City, and now less than half a second between the top 2. DRS activated, energy being used. Here goes Ayahuasca, looking to the inside, and he's got it. But will he be able to hold on? Will he have DRS out of 4? Ayahuasca really hugging the inside line there through 1. Race Day not able to switch him back. Exiting 3. Bit of a slide there for Race Day. 3/10 of a second, and DRS activated. You can see Race Day has used about the entirety of his energy store as they head into turn 4. And even still, it's 4.5 of a second here. And now, the question again. Who's it going to be? Ayahuasca or Race Day? In the final paces of the lap here, they're even on tires. It's head-to-head. We have yet to see so many battles on track between these two, genuinely head-to-head like we are here. Oh, that's a big slide for Race Day over the sausage curb of turn 12. That car pushed quite wide, and I fear he's going to be outside of a second. Oh, I think he is. I think Race Day's missed out on DRS here with 4 to go. Energy being used. No DRS for the Ferrari. Wow. Huge. 9/10 of a second. For Gunnar back to Shariah. Does have DRS, but it's not even close for the time being. Here goes Houdini. Trying to find a move on Proto. In towards turn 1, not going to happen. Electric Blade up to 9th, and I tell you what, Electric Blade, has he had a pretty good day? Yes, he has, up 4 positions. Proto up 7, Cali Rob up 6. And now the question. Ayahuasca apparently pulling away from race day 1.8. We'll check back with that momentarily. It's 3.5 tenths for Houdini back to Proto to get into the top 10. Houdini sits 10th in the points. This would be huge for him if he is able to get into the top 10 here. And of course, penalties for cars ahead, so he may still either way. As we have a yellow flag, that is the McLaren of Element. Oh, and again, the woes continue for him. I think, thankfully for himself, this time he hasn't hit anything going through that spin. But here's Shankadelic to the inside, and Shankadelic up to 3rd. And meanwhile, it is a 6-second gap from Shankadelic to the top 2. And speaking of gaps, 2 seconds now between Ayahuasca and race day. Four-tenths of a second. And even still, Gunner appears to be slightly falling behind that of Shariah. Of course, having the 3-second penalty to boot won't help. It looks as if, under the correct circumstances, Electric Blade could be taking that 7th position. I think he's still a little bit far away from being able to do so. At the line this time will be 2 laps to go. Element now, a 10-second penalty for corner cutting, and another one. 39 seconds of penalty. Actually, by the way, his 49th second of penalty of the day. That's quite the statistic. God, that's got to be a record, hasn't it? 49 seconds of penalty picked up in one Grand Prix. 2 laps to go here in Mexico. And now Cali Robb trying to set the McLaren of Fire Up Flow behind him as well. Cali Robb to the inside, and up to 4th for him. And unless that McLaren plans on making a late braking maneuver, it's not going to happen. Proto, 3.5 tenths on Electric Blade. That's the McLaren of Element again, having gone off. .6 the gap. And so, as we begin the final lap of the Grand Prix here, Ayahuasca has got a 3-second advantage over race day 2016. And unless some sort of error or penalty is made, this one looks like it'll belong to the current championship leader. But battles up and down the grid have yet to be sorted. And here's this one, as Houdini trying to hunt down Proto and Electric Blade ahead. And I don't believe Houdini's going to have this opportunity. Proto, however, looking around the outside. I tell you what a move there from Proto. Oh, but he's gone well deep on, hasn't he? That's going to compromise his line here. And Houdini now to the inside of Electric Blade. Bit of a wiggle. Oh, contact made. Well, I tell you what, somehow everybody's kept it clean there. That one could have been gnarly. Houdini gets around Electric Blade, albeit with some contact involved, but nothing malicious from either driver. I think genuinely just bit of wiggles and jiggles there. But it is going to be Ayahuasca making his way through the stadium section for the final time. Ayahuasca, in this 15-round heavyweight bout for the world title, has taken rounds 1 and 2. He'll win here in Mexico. And albeit, if he had to score this one similar to boxing, this one was more of a 10-9. This one was close. In the grand scheme of things, two very even drivers. Ayahuasca did pull away at the end and has earned his victory today. Race day second, Shankadelic third. Cali Rob fourth, Fire Up Flow will round out the top five. Cali Rob plus 7 positions, Proto plus 9. As what a fantastic race we've had for you today. And be sure once again to join us next time out on October 30th, the night before Halloween, getting into spooky season as we head to the land down under, the Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne, Australia, for round 3 of this 17th season of the Midwest F1 League. For Hotspot, it has been a pleasure joining you once again here on the call. And as Ayahuasca celebrates with a wheel missing, we'll see you next time.